are alive. Thank you, Father. Thank you that you answer prayers and that the internet is functioning. Thank you, Father. Okay, I'm going to do a quick one and send the camera over to my husband so he can begin the class. Enjoy. Let me see if I get over there to do that. Here you go, husband. Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Yep. Here. Good evening, everyone. Oh, this is, should I give you this?
What?
718, is that Rabbits and Cats?
Yeah.
It is her.
It is her house.
Hello. I'm going to start right now. You're just in time. Yeah, if you could just, the conference call is on already, so you can join there. Yeah. Okay.
You'll attend the class that is already watching you.
Hold. Okay. She's going to join. Very soon, maybe I'll give you this. Yes. I can only do one thing at a time. You've got to operate the phone so that people at the conference center will hear me too. Hi, everybody. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the Halachah class, which we learn the wonderful, wonderful laws of Judaism, Torah study. And it so happens, as we're going to begin in just a moment, there's a chapter in the Code of Jewish Law, and it's really a very, very essential chapter about the laws of studying the Torah, which you and I are fulfilling right this very second. This very, very second that we are having this class, we're already fulfilling one of the 613 commandments to study the Almighty's Torah. So I wanted to speak about that shortly, but as I often do, I try to take a highlight, one or two from the previous class to review that sort of gets us back into motion and gets us back into the mode of learning Halachah. There was a fantastic Halachah that we learned last week that had to do with honoring parents. It's at the end of the chapter that deals with the various prayers, the Kaddish that we learned about, that is recited after a parent, God forbid, or a loved one, a relative has passed away. And we learned that the Kaddish itself, as we said, is not a prayer that's connected with the loss of life. Not at all. It's a great praise of God. And when the surviving child or the surviving relative recites the Kaddish in the synagogue with a minyan, it's not something we could do at home, that this praises the Almighty in such a magnificent way that the Almighty shows great, great love and great attention and frees the person who passed away from any judgment that might be necessary. So it's a wonderful thing that we had learned about. We learned that the Kaddish itself is not a prayer about loss of life. On the contrary, the original Kaddish we had learned is a thank you to God for giving us the Torah. And there are a number of Kaddishim that are recited in the service. Only at the very end of the service, there's a Kaddish that's reserved for those who are in mourning, so they can recite that for the sake of the loved one that departed. That's at the very end of the service. But in the middle of the service, throughout the service, and even beginning the service, are Kaddishim in which we praise God at these different points, especially after reading verses of the Torah. So that was the Kaddish Drabanan that we had learned about. This class is not about the Kaddish, but I really felt that I should repeat a passage from the Zohar that was so immensely beautiful. A lot of us are adults. Not all of us, unfortunately, have our parents, and we miss our parents very dearly. And we love them and still love them very much. And their souls are just as alive as they were when they were down here. In fact, they're enjoying the Almighty's wonderful attention and His wonderful reward that He is giving them in Gan Eden, and the spiritual reward as we all wait for Tchias Amesim for all of our loved ones and to be rejoined once together when those who have passed away will be rebuilt by the Almighty. We spoke about that. Their bodies will be rebuilt and they'll be returned to life for an eternal life. It's a basic tenet of the Jewish faith, and it is shown in our Holy Torah in various ways. There are various passages there. So, this passage from the Zohar was pointing out something very important. If we have our parents, and please God, I hope that those who are listening do have them, and they are to be cherished, and they are to be honored, and they are to be respected. The Torah gives us a whole chapter once again in the Code of Jewish Law that's devoted to the honor to parents. And we hope to do that chapter eventually too. Even if, God forbid, someone does not have their parents, I unfortunately do not have my parents, who are wonderful parents, and I shared a couple of their lessons last class with you, that we can still fulfill this mitzvah. But the Zohar says an incredible thing. I have to repeat it. It's so important. He says that one might think, God forbid, that after the parents have passed away, that one is free from honoring them. And the Zohar, the Holy Zohar, teaches us that it's absolutely not so. It's absolutely not so. In fact, the Zohar goes so far as to say that one is even more responsible to show honor to the parents. So you can't talk to them, you can't feed them, you can't serve them or stand up for them in respect, and we avoid sitting in their place. All these things that when they're alive, we're able to do, take them shopping, helping them with their various errands and things that they need help with. This we cannot do.
Rebbitzon's on the phone.
Oh, very good. This we cannot do. I'm just reviewing the beautiful Zohar from last week.
Ask
So
her if
the
she can
physical
hear you.
things. Can you hear me all right, Rebbitzon? Hello, can you hear me? Hello? You can. Okay, very good. Let me put the thing all the way up on the highest. Here, I'm moving up the speaker. I think you'll hear me better even now. Hope you can. So this beautiful, beautiful piece of Zohar tells us that after the parents have passed away, we're even more responsible to honor them. And it brings out very beautifully exactly how we can do that by saying, it starts with the negative. A person lives an improper life, not a moral life, not a praiseworthy life, not a Torah type of life, a proper life as best as they can. This, unfortunately, is harmful and disgraces their parent after they passed away too. On the contrary, if a person lives an upright, good life, the expression over here, one goes in an upright, straight way, and their deeds, their acts, the things that they do are proper deeds. They try to fulfill as many good deeds as they can, and that includes showing respect for people, showing care and love for other people. So the world, the people down here, see what a wonderful person that is. They're so polite and they're respectful, and they always look to help. If we're having any kind of a problem, they jump to see what can they do to help. Giving, of course, tzedakah is, and we mentioned tzedakah is not just money, a check from your wallet. Tzedakah can mean when someone cannot cook a meal for themselves or go shopping for themselves, and one gives up one's own time and one's own energy to help the other person. This is also tzedakah with the body, comforting those who are, God forbid, in mourning, visiting those who are sick. All of these things are different types of tzedakah that can be accomplished with the body as well. And there's many advantages to using one's body for that. So we learn what happened from the Zohar, that not only people honor, they must have had wonderful parents. They must have been raised a wonderful way. We hear that so very often when we meet a person that is really exemplary, that they really show that they're living a proper life. See, they must have been taught. They're so respectful, they're so polite, they're so helpful, they're so loving and caring and generous with whatever they can do. they must have had magnificent parents, wonderful parents. And that's why I speak about my parents, because they taught me, thank God, so well, as I have told you a little bit already. What happens is not only are they honored here on earth, they're honored in heaven. And the Almighty prepares a special throne for them and gives them wonderful honor in heaven. This is a tremendous thing, and that's what the Torah is telling us, that even after they pass away, not only we're not free from honoring parents, but we should do even more. We can accomplish even more in both worlds, the physical world down here and the spiritual world in heaven. And we all look forward to the Tekiyas Mesa when we can all be together once again. And those who have passed away and our dear and beloved parents will see them once again and be able to enjoy an eternal life together. Very beautiful thing. So I wanted to repeat that because I feel it's so very important for us. Again, if one has their parents, ask yourself, am I making the effort to visit them if you live out of the house? Am I making an effort to help them with their various needs and obligations and things like that? I think most of the people who watch our program are not that young, but those who are younger and still have their parents, don't say, I'll do it another time. We don't have any contract that tells us how long we're going to be here or how long our parents are going to be here. And you should know one of the things that you miss when they have passed away is, Mommy, Daddy, I'm in this I'm in this problem. I got this struggle and problem. What do you advise me? What did you do when you were struck with the same thing? Things we can't do anymore once they have passed away. So realize how valuable it is to have them with us, so they can still advise us, and we can still bring happiness to them and joy to them. Uh, I don't know, unless you're very rich, you know what it is to raise children. If you're married or you had children and grandchildren, what a great job it is to raise from babyhood on, especially. And in this week's portion, most appropriately, as we were studying it Tuesday night, I don't think I covered honoring parents. One of the 10 commandments is honor your father and mother, and it's the fifth commandment, and it seems to be a commandment that should be on the other side. You have two tablets, right? One tablet is speaking, I'm the Lord your God. There shall not be any false gods before me, right? Do not say the name of God in vain. Honor the Shabbos, etc., etc. Those all say on that tablet, those five, they seem to be dealing with things that have to do between man and the Almighty, or woman and the Almighty. So why is honoring parents? That's for people. That should go on the other side. There it says, don't, God forbid, don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, right? Don't be jealous, and don't try to manipulate others to get what you want out of them. That's on the second tablet, that has to do with the things that are obligations and prohibitions about man to man, one person with another. The first tablet is dealing with, I'm the Lord your God. There should not be any false gods before. It has to do with us and the Almighty. Why is honoring parents on the first tablet? Because when we honor our parents, we're honoring the Almighty. It's so important to God when we honor our parents. It means to be not only respectful to them, but to make sure that we take care of their needs and that we obey them respectfully and speak to them in a proper manner. And there's times that they get on our nerves. Yeah. We have to have the self-control to always not lose our cool. We should always not lose our temper in speaking with them, whatever the situation is. Okay, I want to continue with a very, very basic commandment tonight, which is the next chapter, 27, of the Code of Jewish Law. And the laws of Talmud Torah, Torah study, are discussed here. And it's interesting. We are fulfilling that right now by sharing with each other the laws of the Torah. We just went through quite a few things about honoring parents. There are laws about Torah study itself. What is our requirement with regard to Torah study? Maybe once in a while, when I have nothing else to do, I'll open up a Torah book. Or perhaps I'm so busy and am so occupied with so many things, and maybe even also the the mitzvah of honoring parents, etc. I don't have time for Torah study. We're learning in this chapter that we all must make time, and it's adjustable in many ways, as we will soon see. That the obligation to study the Torah is a very fundamental one. Before I actually go into it, I want to share one more thing with you. The closest, I mean it, the closest we can come to the Almighty is by studying His Torah. It's His holy book. It's His favorite thing. He put Himself in it. In the first commandment it says, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I'm the Lord your God. The word Anochi, Aleph, Anon, Nafshis, Kesavis, Yahavis. Those four letters, Aleph, Nun, Chaf, and Yud, stand for Ano, I myself God. Kasavti, I wrote, and Nasati, I've written myself and given it over to you. God has placed Himself in His holy Torah. The closest union that we can actually have with the Almighty Himself is by studying His Torah. When we do His commandments, He hugs us and He kisses us and loves us. As we're learning His Torah, we may not feel it in this world, and we will feel it eventually, but the closest you can get to God is by studying His holy Torah, as you and I are doing this very minute. So let's learn a little bit about the obligations. Once again, the Torah is adjusted for each and every lifestyle, each and every person. He says, Achar HaTfilah. We had many chapters about prayer. That's the formal prayer, let's say, in the morning. Yikba Eis Limud Torah. Right in the morning, if it's at all possible, after the morning prayers or attending synagogue in the morning, it is proper to set, even if it's a short amount of time, to study Torah. This should be a set time. It should not be passed over. This is interesting. Let's picture yourself as a businessman or a businesswoman, and you have a job. And if you get to work early, you'll be able to get a customer that you wouldn't be able to get normally. So your feeling is, what I'll do is, instead of my usual Torah study period, it could be even 5 minutes, even a couple of minutes. Whatever it is, it should be kept consistently. And even there's a possibility that you'd make a lot of money if you omitted it. This is how essentially important, and you can see why. Because it's the closest union we can have with God is to study His Torah. And the best thing is, even after the services, if at all possible, to right away. And if you daven at home, if you pray by yourself, or you say part of the prayers by yourself, whatever you can do, then immediately put into practice, if you can, to study even a few minutes of the Torah portion, or perhaps some of the books, the prophets, whatever is available to you. Let's say you really have to run. You really have to run, and you're not going to be able to do your Torah lesson. You have an appointment. This is the only time that person can see you, whatever it is. Maybe it's a doctor's appointment, or a dentist appointment, and that was the only appointment you can get. I've seen plenty of times where you have to wait for months to even get an appointment. So this is a problem. Even one verse, if you can scrounge in before you run out, you normally should have, whatever it is, a Torah session, a Torah period, whatever it is, 5 minutes, half hour, whatever you can do. But if you're under such pressure, he says, do even one verse. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Whatever verse. Honor the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Remember the Sabbath day. I'm sorry. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, and guard the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Even just one verse, even with just one verse, to show that you're not rushing off without Torah at all. That's how essentially important this is. Then he says that after you have had your appointment, go back, now that you have some free time, whatever it is, and fill in that Torah study period that you normally would have had. It's very, very important. He continues, he says, in some synagogues, some congregations, he says that they have a class, a Torah class, uh, in order to help people fulfill this obligation. The rabbi of the synagogue, or perhaps one of the learned people in the synagogue, will conduct it. And if one is able to attend that, that is absolutely wonderful. So I'll talk a little bit about this. Um, let's say, this just to show us how important this is. Maybe before I even say it, years ago, the Torah was very hard to access. It was only in Hebrew or Aramaic and the Talmud. And you really had to study with a teacher in order to be able to study the Torah at all. By the way, many years ago, they translated the Bible into Yiddish, because this enabled many people who didn't know Hebrew to study the Torah. Yiddish was the language, or German, it depended where you were, that they would be able, this is from many, many years ago, long before the English translations, that people would be able to take a verse or two or something and learn the Torah even for a few minutes before going to work. Okay, in my synagogue where I attended in Baltimore, Maryland, and the other synagogues have similar things too, the service starts at 6:30. That's pretty early. That's an early minyan, an early service. Why do we have to have it so early? Because people have to run to work. It has to be 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 8:30 at work. So there's an early service. So one of the wonderful people that I knew very well came up to the rabbi of the synagogue, that's Rabbi Lisbon is his name, and asked for a class in the Talmud to be given before services. You've got to get up even earlier and come to the synagogue and have a wonderful class in English, Hebrew and English, from the rabbi of the synagogue. Why not have it afterwards? Because, as I mentioned, people have to run to work. So here we're talking about to have a Torah study, if you can, even one verse, anything you can do before you rush off. Here they had a whole class, and the Talmud is not the easiest, it's the most difficult of all the studies. And they had this before the services. I would come a little bit early, and I would be so delighted to hear the rabbi give at least the end of the class, a part of the class, and really enjoy that. So this shows us how important Torah study is, to be able to do it at whatever level. Now, the books of the Torah, not only the scriptures, but also the Mishnah, the Talmud, the Code of Jewish Law, Maimonides, great, great work summarizing all the laws of the Torah. In fact, we celebrated this week on Monday the completion. There were those of us following the direction of the Lubavitcher Rebbe to do either one chapter of Maimonides every day and complete the entire Maimonides in 1 year, or the 3-year cycle, which is what I do, is to do, I said it backwards, forgive me, often happens at night. The 1-year cycle is 3 chapters a day, excuse me, 3 chapters of Maimonides' great work every day or every night. And in the course of a year, one can complete the huge, huge volumes of Maimonides' Code his great code in which he summarizes all the laws of Judaism, all 613 commandments. If 3 chapters a day is too hard, I don't want to do it because it means going blah, 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 just rushing through it and not going over it more carefully. So I use the 3 year cycle in which we just finished also. We all just finished that this year and this week as well. It actually was on Tu B'Shvat, the Rosh Hashanah for the trees. We had that holiday on Monday. That's also when we completed the 3 year cycle. So it's very adaptable. Uh, as they say, the closest you can come to the Almighty is to study His holy Torah. It's called Mazon LaNefesh, food for the soul. Food for your body becomes part of you, doesn't it? We are what we eat. You heard that many times. We have all these programs about nutrients and how to get over many, many maladies and many, God forbid, sicknesses or problems that people have, especially going into the so many programs for seniors now about what to eat and what not to eat and what supplements are very helpful. All the aches and pains that we as seniors are very familiar with, etc., etc. At any rate, when you study the Almighty's Torah, you're bringing Him right inside you. You know what King David said? He said, "V'sorescha b'sok me'ai." Your Torah is right in my digestive organs, in my tummy. That's what he brought out to us very clearly, the great unity that we have with the Almighty's holy Torah. It's His favorite thing. It shows His favorite thing. He has everything. He can do everything. He owns everything, create anything, enjoy anything. He truly, truly, that's what He enjoys the most. But I have to tell you that when you study the Torah with the Almighty, when you study the Torah in heaven, where the souls of our people study the Torah, there is a rabbinical school. There's a Torah academy in heaven as well. And we get little tastes of it sometimes from the Talmud, and it's at a very super spiritual high level, incredibly high level. So to have that privilege, to have that wonderful privilege to be able to consume Mazon LaNefesh, food for the soul, and that our soul should enjoy, just as your stomach enjoys nice food that you eat, etc., that our soul really enjoys itself. It was close to God all the time in heaven. Now it's plunged down here on earth. You mean I gotta go shopping now? I would rather listen to the Almighty give a lecture about all of His wonderful commandments, etc. You mean I got to go out? I have to put caps on Coca-Cola. That's His job. I have to put caps on a Coca-Cola bottle to make a living, or whatever a person has to do to make a living, etc., etc. Look at the refreshment. Look at the enjoyment that our soul has right now, right this minute, as we're learning how precious the Torah is, and we're studying the laws of Torah study itself. Now, I'm going to go on with this also. Kol ish Yisrael, each and every Jewish person, chayav lomod Torah, must study Torah. Being ani, whether it's a poor person who has little time and little money and has tremendous pressure because of his poverty, being osher. The wealthy person has other pressures. The poor person has pressures because he has to try to scrounge a living and to try to take care of his family. He can't hire people to clean the house and do all the things and go shopping. He has to do everything himself or herself. Whether the person's poor, whether the person's wealthy. Oh, wealthy, so good. Wealthy, loaded with dough. Boy, it should be easy for them to study the Torah. Oh, the phone rings, etc. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Such and Such, that there's a problem at the factory today, that the main machine just busted, broke down, and stopped working, etc. Oh, Mr. Such and Such, etc. If you'll come over right now, I'll be able to make a great deal with you. You know, President Trump is a great deal maker. I'll be able to make better deals than President Trump does with you on this new product that you are introducing and selling. But you have to come right now etc. And then there's a problem with the worker. Worker complains that someone's discriminating against them. All kinds of problem, and then there's a problem with the paying the salaries one week or whatever. And some problem came up, etc., etc. Now, this is a person. It could be a person who has hundreds of thousands, millions. He used to be a millionaire. Remember, maybe the TV program, The Millionaire, $1 million. That was considered it. That was the top. Then, as I grew up, millions are nothing, and it has to be billions. Now, billions aren't enough either. You got to be a trillionaire. You have to be a trillionaire, and going on and on and on and on. Just because a person is wealthy doesn't mean that they have time to study the Torah either. They have so many commitments and so many obligations and so many responsibilities in order to be a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, etc., that they have great difficulty sometimes finding time to start and study the Torah too. So whether one is poor, whether one is rich, now here we see being shalom begufo, whether a person is healthy, being bal yeshur, a person who is suffering from all kinds of illnesses and terrible pains and maladies. Being bocher, whether a person is a youngster, he's in their prime, being zaken, whether it's an old person, everybody. He says, even a person who unfortunately, and I've known people like this, they have to go door to door begging. That's very terrible, really terrible. They have to set, how small it might be, whatever it is, everyone has the obligation to set time to study the Torah by Yom V'Layla, day and night. Shneimar, it states, V'Hagisa Bo, this is the book of Joshua, you shall meditate in it Yom V'Layla, day and night. So whatever you can do, a little in the morning, a little at night, you've got free time, don't watch TV programs and silly, foolish things. Take the Bible, take the portion of the week like we studied on Tuesday night, or there are many wonderful classes. There are many wonderful, wonderful classes that are given in Torah now. And start to say everything is translated. Everything is translated. Well, I can't afford this translation. I can't afford that. All the books, I think, of the Torah, if I'm not mistaken, maybe somebody correct me, everything that's available in print is available in some way online. You can actually get it online. You have to make sure that it's an Orthodox source, of course, because we have a big problem as we get close to the Mashiach. The Christians and Christian missionaries are trying their absolute hardest to pull Jewish people away from Judaism. I never saw such effort as today, enormous effort. They go so far as to dress like an observant Jew, pretend that they're a rabbi, and then teach about J.C. Penney. That's how much of a problem we have today. So you have to be careful if you use online or you go to a bookstore to make sure. The Art Scroll series that Rebbe Yitzchak is always mentioning, that's dependable. There's a number of other wonderful publishers of all the books of the Torah as well. Now, I mentioned a number of times when we study these laws, and it seems to be asking a lot of us. I think a minute in the morning, a minute at night, that's not asking too much. Instead of just gabbing away, one of the things that bothered me terribly is attending services with a minyan in the synagogue that I mentioned also, or in other synagogues too. The people finish their service. There are some who don't have to rush right off to work. They just gab with each other. They just talk about anything. And I say to myself, in the time they're talking together, they could sit together with a book of the Torah and study the portion of the week, study the code of Jewish law, study the Mishnah and the Talmud, study the prophets. There's so many options. And if you don't know Hebrew, the synagogues have it in English. They have all these books in English now too. The Talmud, which is the hardest book to study, is translated into English as well. So the opportunity is there. One has to discipline oneself and see how do I spend my day? How do I begin my day? Hopefully with the prayers or some of the prayers that we have learned about. And immediately before going about one's business or going to school, if you're still in your school years, etc., is to set aside a, a, a period, how long it is, whatever it is, long or short, for Torah study in the morning and in the evening. Now, I've many times tried to show you the sensitivity of the Torah. The Torah is just saying, do this, do that, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. The Torah is very kind. The Torah is very loving and tries in every way to make it possible for each of us to fulfill this commandment, the commandment to study and teach the Torah. Watch this halachah. This is interesting. He just told us young or old, healthy or not healthy, every person has to do what they can to study some Torah, at least in the morning and some in the evening. Umisha enu yodia klal. Woo! What about a person who's never had the advantage of any kind of Torah education and doesn't have normally even access to some of these books we're talking about? Someone who can't learn at all, or because they are so incredibly busy, and I'm not talking about busy gabbing. They are struggling and struggling to make a living, struggling to take care of their family. Sometimes a person who has children who have special needs and they need special attention. Oh, you have to go to this doctor and that doctor, this appointment, that appointment, etc., etc. Uh, the children need all kinds of special help and special attention, or the person has to drive the children to school, etc., and then run to work, and then go to pick them up at school, all these things. Let's say we have a person who cannot learn virtually at all. This shows us how the Torah looks into every one situation. Now, this is a person who's really overburdened, that's for sure. Yes, absolutely. Some people are not very academic. They're not very good at book learning. Perhaps you and I know people like that. Some people are very brilliant. Sometimes people are very bright. I remember some people that I met that they said, I never studied. I just went to class. I heard what the professor said, and that's all I needed in order to get high grades. Some people are very brilliant. They're wasting actually their talent. What they should do is using their brain to the utmost, etc., and see what good they could bring into the world. All right. This person has a real excuse. They are so overburdened, and they're so overburdened, and they are so tremendously tied up, enormously tied up, they can't even do what I just mentioned, which was just to learn a little bit in the morning and the evening, etc. They can't even do that. Have they lost this commandment altogether? No. This is what I try to show you, that the laws of Judaism just do this, do that, without caring about the person saying, I don't want to hear excuses, I don't hear this, I don't hear that. That's not the way our Holy Torah is. It's a person who is really in such a situation that they really can't study the Torah, even the minimum that you and I are discussing. I think you and I probably can do something. You're doing something right now. You're fulfilling the mission to study Torah right now. What about this person? What about this person? So he says it would be really, if they can't study themselves, to help others who do have the time. They have the time, but if they spend their time in Torah study, they can't really make enough of a living. They can work part-time, but they are very scholarly and they are able to study the Torah for many hours. However, their family needs to be supported. He tells you what to do for them. He says that our rabbis taught us, Simach Zevulun b'tzeisecha, be happy. Zevulun was one of the tribes of Israel. When you go out to do business, the Yisachar bo'ohalecha, and Yisachar was another tribe who used to spend their time. They were actually even the heads. They were the heads of the. Sorry, I'll just turn that off for now. Yeah. 1 second. I'm almost done. Okay. Oh boy. Just give me 1 second. I'm about to finish. My phone is not cooperating. I can't shut it off. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Oh, I see what went wrong. I see what. Okay. There were two tribes. We know there were actually 13 tribes altogether. But we had Yisachar and Zebulun. Zebulun was a great business person, a merchant. They lived by the seashore. That's where their portion was. And they were out to go out in ships and to make a fortune. Because they were so busy making money, they didn't have much time to study Torah. Now, did they? Exactly what we're talking about. I'm not saying they didn't study at all, God forbid. I don't mean that. Their brother tribe, Yisachar and Zebulun, the two together. Yisachar were very brilliant Torah scholars. So what Yisachar did, they studied the Torah, and the other tribe, Zebulun, went into big business ventures, trillionaires and stuff, right? And they supported the Torah scholars Yisachar. Zebulun were the business people, Zebulun, in English I think it is, and Yisachar were the Torah scholars. So Zebulun was so tied up with business, they made lots of money, but they had very little time for Torah. What they did is they supported the other tribe, so the other tribe could devote themselves completely to Torah study. And these were the judges of the law courts of the Jewish people, princes of the people, etc., who really were the great rabbis, the great rabbis of the Jewish people, were from Yisachar. So, what the Code of Jewish Law is telling us, if you absolutely can't study very much, or even at all, see to it that you support various institutions. There are various rabbinical academies. There are various schools, even for children, also for children to be able to study the Torah, and for young adults. And there are rabbinical academies. There's even postgraduate academies. And there are individuals and families where the people are very learned, and because of their devotion to Torah study, they really can't make a solid living, and they can't support themselves. This person who can't learn but supports them and makes their Torah study possible, they get credit for their learning. They can't learn themselves, but they get credit for their learning. So the verse is Smas V'lun, let's say Secha, it mentions the business people first in the verse. Be happy and successful when you go out. And the ones that you're supporting should be successful and happy in the tents, in the study halls of the Torah. The Torah puts them first. The businessmen put first before these great scholars that we're talking about. Why? Because Yisachar, the tribe that the great Torah scholars could only study the Torah because they were supported with the generosity of the great businessman Zebulun. I hope that we will do our best, morning and evening, whatever it is. Take a Torah book, whatever you can possibly do, but make it not only a habit, but it's your regular required schedule. Every day I have to do this in the morning, and I have to do this in the evening. Set a time for it and keep it consistently, and then you'll be fulfilling the mitzvah of Torah study day and night, no matter how much or how little you're capable to do. If you are in a position to help any of the Torah institutions that teach Torah, a donation there to help them. Many of these schools for children are for children who can't not pay tuition. And if you help these schools, sometimes a scholarship can be established for them, or to donate to a scholarship fund for children whose families cannot pay their tuition. Teachers teachers have to eat too, right? The principal has to eat too, right? They need to have a salary. And the building has electricity, you need water, you need heat, right? Whatever it is that you need to operate a school. So, once again, if one has limited time or ability to study for themselves, to seek the opportunity to help those who are teaching and learning Torah. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful Shabbos, and look forward to uh, getting together on the Hasidus class once again. Eastern Standard Time is at 12 o'clock on Sunday. Please join us then. And in the meantime, have wonderful, uh, a wonderful Friday and a wonderful Shabbos. This Shabbos, if you can attend services, the Ten Commandments in the Torah, we had quite a bit of study about the reading of the Torah. That portion
Question.
that the Torah is given is this week's Torah reading. Yeah. Hold on 1 second, please. Yeah.
So, of all the laws there are about studying Torah, what would you say is the most prevalent?
Yes, most prevalent. That's good. That's actually going to be discussed in next week's class. The laws of daily practice, the laws of keeping kosher, laws of the prayers we had learned, laws of the duty to parents or to help people who are in need in different ways, etc., etc. Your day-to-day laws. If you're a man, you have the laws of the tzitzis and tefillin, which we did cover in our class over the different months, etc. So the laws which are in practice on a regular basis, how to keep the Sabbath, how to not violate the Sabbath. These are the to give the greatest attention to, which we'll soon see. It's actually right. It's a wonderful question that Reverend asked. It's actually dealt with in this chapter that we're studying. So please continue to join us. Thank you for coming tonight, and have a wonderful evening.
I'd like to point out one thing. Our Torah books that we study with, we have to be careful not to put them face down.
Yeah. That's also going to be covered in this class too, how to treat Torah books, not to place them upside down, don't let them fall on the floor or kiss them. If God forbid that has happened, something of that nature, yes, to show respect for them. We're even going to learn that if you're going to leave the room, don't leave the Torah book open. We usually like to leave things open so it can come right back to it and sit right down. Use a bookmark if you're going to have to leave the room. That's also one of the laws of showing respect for Torah books that most people perhaps wouldn't even imagine. Thank you, Riverson, for wonderful comments. And thank you all for joining us. So please do continue doing that. Have a wonderful night.
Yasher Koach, very good class.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope you'll be back on Sunday. New York time will be at noon, and we will do the Hasidus class. So, and that's 2 hours, 1 hour for my husband, 1 for me. God willing that I can get enough studying done to do that on Sunday. Okay, yeah, because we're trying to pack and move to Baltimore, and so I have a lot of extra stuff I didn't normally have. Anyway, the Almighty bless you all and keep you and make his face to shine upon you and keep you in perfect peace now and forever. Always increasing and never decreasing in the area of peace, for sure. This class was recorded. If you came in late, please come do a rewind on the YouTube and catch the class. Anyway, sei gesund, be gesund. God bless you all, and we'll see you on Sunday. Shalom, shalom.